Hi guys, Rene here and welcome to the workshop. Last time around I showed you the brand new Wahoo Kicker bike that I just got, and unfortunately for now that's the only bike I can show you. There have been many requests on Instagram and also YouTube to show off my new bikes and my new bike sponsor, but unfortunately I can't yet do that, simply because I don't have those bikes yet due to supply chain issues, as you might have guessed in these times. And it's not because it's a bit secret or it's an embargo over it, but honestly it feels a bit dumb to show you something or tell you about something that I don't even have yet. So I will ask you for a bit of patience with that. However, what I can show you is a couple of cool parts and what I'm going to use for these bikes and how I will build them. Mainly the group sets and some other bits as well, and perhaps they're not what you have expected or might have guessed. So without further ado, let's check these out. Okay, so what you can see here is my little treasure chest. It's a box loaded with mostly Shimano components, and this is what I'm going to use for my next 3 bikes. So we've basically got 3 group sets here plus a couple of extras. The group sets of choice for the road and time trial bike might have been obvious, being the Dura Ace 12 speed, but it's not. You see, a couple of years ago I was a bit of a snob, and I'll be honest about that totally. And all I wanted and care about is having the latest and the greatest. However, that's not really the case any longer. And yes, I have worked on a couple of these new Shimano group sets, but honestly they're nice refinements and I would love to have them. But going back to the supply chain issues, it's not really a viable option for me, at least not in this point in time. So the reason I've gone and stuck with 11 speed is exactly that. So I have a couple of 12 speed group sets ordered for the shop, pre-ordered even, back in December, and these will be complete in April. So yeah, I basically have a lot of parts already, but I'm still missing the front and rear mechs. So yeah, without those, the group set is pretty much useless. And that means even if I get my frames sooner than that, I won't be able to ride them until April. So that's definitely a no-go. And there are just a couple of these group sets available at the distributor. I'm based in Slovakia, so it's a small country, small warehouses, not a huge supply. So even when I break something during the season, it might be quite problematic. But as it happens, they have also received a boatload of 11 speed parts that maybe someone would consider no longer up to date. And I was thinking about this choice, and well, the main reason why I would have wanted to go 12 speed is because of the gearing jumps on the time trial bike. I tend to use very narrow range cassettes with 11 speed just because when I'm at threshold pace doing a time trial around 46 to 52, 3 kilometers per hour, I really like and need those 1-2 jumps to stay on the gas. And with Shimano's 11 speed cassettes, I haven't really been able to do that very well, because the 2-2 jumps start quite early in the block. I was using SRAM before in 12 speed configurations, but the problem with that is of course the increased friction over Shimano. Then I had Campagnolo Super Record EPS, which I think is by far my most favorite group set to date. It has amazing brakes, amazing ergonomics, very nice shifting, and it looks just exquisite. But the problem with that is, well, you can't put it on a TT bike because first, because the cabling is not compatible with most current TT bikes, and Campagnolo don't have disc brake thumb trial levers, hydraulic ones. So I could mitigate that by using SRAM or Shimano brakes, just the brakes and the levers. But Campagnolo also don't have satellite shifters, so that means I could only shift from the extensions, and that's a bit of a drawback, honestly, particularly in technical courses like you do get in those bigger events like in European and World Champs. Is the same situation this year, and it was like that last year. So out of the corners and on the climbs you need the base bar shifting, or at least I think it's an advantage, so I couldn't really go with that either. So it's back to basics really. 11-speed Shimano Di2. It's been around for a while now. It's reliable, basically pretty easy to adjust, compatible with everything. Still a lot of 11-speed parts laying around, so I can have a lot of redundancy, like I'm going to show you just now. It works for gravel, it works for road, it works for TT. One thing I didn't really like about Shimano and its Race group set is the modulation of the road brake levers. For some reason the thumb trial brakes were very good, and I've yet to try these new STIs with servo waves, so the GRX version. I also have them here, so I'm going to show you just now. And yeah, that's pretty much how my choice went out. I also found a way around the 11-speed cassettes and their jumps, so let's talk a little bit about the components themselves. Okay, so this is the whole lot unpacked. Let's go through the stuff one by one, where to actually start. Okay, let's have a look at the Dura Ace bits first. So this is pretty much reserved for the road bike. As you can see, I have complete left and right levers here with hoses and calipers. Two sets actually, as I said. One is a spare, you can't really know these days, so better to have that. And then I have front and rear mech, of course. So yeah, that's road bike sorted out right there. Then we have the gravel bike. Here we have a GRX long cage rear mech for 2x. Prefer to have 2x, particularly on gravel. Don't really get 1x. Doesn't really work for my style of riding. Then we have GRX STI levers. Again, Di2 version. I've yet to try these. I really like the look of them. They look pretty amazing. So yeah, also the servo wave should sort out my issues with the regular version in terms of brake feel and modulation and power. So I'm really curious to try these out. So that's the GRX stuff. And then you can see a couple of Ultegra boxes here. This is a rear mech short cage as a spare for a road or TT bike in case something goes wrong. Then we have an Ultegra front mech, and this goes for the gravel bike actually, because in order to use regular road Shimano chainrings you need to use this one. The GRX version has a different Q factor and clearance to it, so this is what I need. Then I have one more of these. This is for the time trial bike, for the occasions that I need 2x up front, which is pretty rare, although I think first from around March to May for training I will use 2x, and then for the races I'm going to switch to 1x, depending on the courses of course, but the first one that I'm doing is a hilly one, so there it's 2x territory. So we got these sorted. Then for the Di2 stuff we have a lot of parts. For the 12 speed it's a lot easier, but with the 11 speed you still need to get a huge amount of parts just to get it working, obviously. So 3 batteries, that's pretty standard, nothing special there. 3 junction boxes, of course, for the charge port. Then what I have here is satellite shifters as well. These I will use for basically all of the bikes, but the reason I got so many here is, well, because the time trial bike is going to be done in a different way than what you see usually. So I'm not a big fan of these thumb style shifters, so I'm going to use these ones instead at the extensions. And if you know the time trial Shimano Di2 levers, these unfortunately only have one shift button, as you can see. So that means you either program them to shift the front mech, or you need to use synchro shift. So in neither case you have complete control over the bike from the base bar, and that sucks a little bit. I don't really understand why they've done this, but it can be remedied by using another set of these, which you can program to shift the front mech, and it's what you see on most of the Rotor guys bikes. So I'm going to use this one as well. Then we have satellite shifters for the road bike, just because I like them. They're going to be in the drops position. And I have one more one-sided unit, and this will go on the gravel bike, because there it should be enough. Then we have junctions, of course, in order to use 2 sets of these satellite shifters plus the regular shifters. On the time trial bike we actually need quite a lot of junctions, so you got 2 of these Y splitters, then you need 2 of these regular 4-way junctions, and 4 of these. I removed the boxes, and yeah, for obvious reasons, just save some space. And then these are the regular junctions for the other 2 bikes. So cabling isn't going to be that easy in these cases. As for the cables themselves, I don't have these set out separately, just because I have over 30 of them in stock, so I'll just use those when I'll build the bikes, hopefully soon. And trust me, I'm just as excited to see them as you are, so bear with me on this. Then we have a couple of brake hoses, just because these time trial levers are leftovers, so I need a fresh set of hoses for these. And actually, just as of today, I've seen some of these time trial levers online as well, so I've ordered a set again just to have a backup, because, well, in case I crash just before the Nationals like last year, I can fall back on something. So, well, quite literally, in fact. So yeah, these are the levers sorted. Now let's get to the drivetrain bits. So you might notice that I don't have a single set of Shimano cranks here, and the reason is that I don't really like them. There are power meter versions which are both very expensive and very inaccurate, and it's quite a bad combination. You also need a glue-on magnet, which further reduces the reliability. So yeah, quark it is for me, and it has been always basically. So for a road bike I have a regular quark D4 165mm cranks, As you can see, these are pretty battered already, and I've been using them for the last 2 years, so plenty of miles in them. The chainrings are standard to race 5339, so all the usual stuff you would see on a race bike. I also have a 1x option for these. I have a 54 tooth pyramid cycle design chainring for the flat races in case I do some. So I have this set aside somewhere. I probably need to put it in this box, but I've yet to use it actually, because there weren't many opportunities to do road races last year, unfortunately. So hopefully this year it gets better. So yeah, road bike crank sorted. Then I have the time trial bike crank set. It's the same thing actually, just in a lot better condition because it's useless. I also have these Cane Creek aluminum preload adjusters on both, just because the plastic ones that come standard aren't very reliable. These ones are bomb proof. This, as you can see, is a pretty big 60 tooth pyramid cycle design chainring, again on a Quark D4, and with a bit of custom glue molding on there just to cover up the holes, and some titanium chainring bolts. I've swapped the standard aluminum ones for these just to make sure that my power numbers are accurate. So that's the main reason of using them, not really the weight savings, and I just couldn't find really any steel ones that come in 1x, and these are pretty neat, so that's why I stuck to these. So yeah, this is the same setup that I've been using for the past year, and I really like it. Then for the 2x time trial option, I have this thing really. It's a standard 5x130 BCD, so standard chainring configuration on a Quark D0, so this is not a D4 like the other ones. And these are Praxis 5642 time trial chainrings. So yeah, also pretty good stuff, shift well, big enough for the downhills and small enough on the small side for the uphills. So definitely a good option. And of course, for the gravel bike, already in use, I have a set of these. So this is SRAM Force 170mm crank, again Quark D4 just to keep it consistent, and Ultegra 50-36 chainrings for smaller than standard for gravel use. These have worked pretty well for me already, both on road and gravel, so not going to change them anytime soon. Also gravel pedals, Speed Play Powerways, as they have been for the past couple of years. For the rest of the drivetrain, we have the Race 1130 tooth cassettes, 4 of them actually. That's probably a bit overkill. I think I'm only going to need 2 or 3 for the wheel sets I will have. Then for gravel, I have an Ultegra 1134, so a nice wide spread there. So even though I have road bike gearing up front, I have this wide range cassette, so I can climb most off-road stuff comfortably with this one. And as I mentioned before, I don't really like the steps of the race cassettes for time trialing, so for that I have narrow range SRAM Red 22 cassettes, so this is pretty rare nowadays, very light too, not that it would matter, but anyway. So I've got an 1128, another 1128 on the disc wheel that I have set aside, and an 1125 for the ultra flat courses. So these are the cassettes covered. Rotor wise, I'm going to use all 140 rotors. I don't really like the 160 up front. For my weight, a 140 is completely adequate for all uses basically. I have 6 of these MT900 for the wheel sets that are coming up, and for the time trial wheels I still have the RT900s, just because honestly I like these more, and for sure they're more aerodynamic, but I couldn't get these anymore, so for the other wheels I have the MTs, which should be better in terms of handling the heat anyway. So yeah, these are leftovers basically, just like the rest of these parts. So these are the calipers for the TT bike, some small parts, not that interesting. Yeah, center lock nuts, etc. And this is the rear mech for the road bike. Actually, I really like this SLF aero cage. It's much sturdier and stiffer than you get with ceramic speed, because it's an actual plate of carbon. So I'm going to use this one on the road bike, and the new rear mech with something a bit more special is coming soon, and also with an SLF Evo system for the GRX gravel rear mech. So oversized pulley wheels all around. Some people like to say that they don't do anything. Well, it's proven that they are. It's not an aero penalty, and you get reduced friction, so that's a win-win for me. Then another thing that people like to hate about are the Speedplay Wahoo pedals. I just got these from Wahoo recently. I haven't actually ridden these yet, as you can see, brand new in box. And that means that I will be selling my very old Speedplay Aero pedals, the original ones coming with titanium axles. The only thing that was keeping me from these basically, because I really like the new design, should have less slop in and more secure engagement also, but until now they weren't really available with narrower spindles or shorter spindles should I say, that enabled me to get the narrowest Q factor possible. But now they are available, and I have 2 sets right here, so I'm going to use these. These are also made from titanium, so slightly lighter than the stock ones. And while I was ordering these, I also got a set of titanium plates, so also a couple of grams saved. Not that it would matter, but it's cool, so I went for it. What else actually? Saddles, that's another thing that a lot of people ask me about. I really like this Celerio Pentave magnet for time trialing, and I'll just stick to this. I haven't really found anything that I liked more. I have the custom TT9 dash saddle combo, which is very, very exquisite, but since I will no longer have the Shiv frame set, I can't use it anymore, so this one will do. For the road, I haven't really decided yet. I had 2 power mirror saddles from Specialized set aside, but I would prefer not using any Specialized products anymore. So yeah, that one is still up for debate. I'm not that picky about saddles, particularly on a road bike, so I'll probably try something else. Couple of other cool bits: Silca Nastro Cusino, very thick, very luxurious bar tape for the gravel bike, and the Pilote, the really thin aero one for the road bike. This is what I've been using so far, really like them. And also some protective foil I got from my friend. I'm going to use this on the gravel frame when it finally arrives. And that's pretty much it. pretty much all I have set aside so far. Of course, I still have my head wheels, but a couple of new ones will come shortly, so I'm going to show you those, of course. And yeah, tire choice still up for decision, and the rest of it is pretty much dialed. So yeah, I hope this has been somewhat entertaining or informative, and maybe you will get some similar conclusions regarding spec choice for this year. If you want to see the complete bikes built up soon, then don't forget to tune into the channel later on and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.